carrying horses. But the only thing they couldn't do well is, making, they used to call it the monkey, on the breast of the horse. They couldn't cut it easy, well enough to protect the horse from being if it wasn't fit, tight easy and fractures, the horse will be, scratched like this,
That's not the draft collar, you mean?
No.
No, the monkey
collar,
below.
And the one that was on the back of the horse that was in the shaft, the saddleback, we call it, The cobbler and the shoemaker, they couldn't make that, But this saddler over here, he wasn't an expert craftsman, They used to keep the farmers going like this, but one at Whitland, they picked on there. He was some of these. My master used to go to Whitland, everything was more reliable like this.
Yes. Did you work your teams in line abreast or in tandem, one behind the other?
Oh, I used to plough with 3 abreast, with a double furrow. And then the only time I've been told that I would say carting, harrowing 2 abreast, ploughing 2 abreast. Well, there's one thing then, there will, the roller, the cast roller there. Well, not all the farmers and some side farmer had a roller with a pole like this, with a team of horses. But the other one was one before the other, That's the only time that we've been driving in the land. Of course, I've been in the road with 2 horses many times before.
Bringing the stone from the quarries over there, they used to have to come out in tandem, one behind the other, because the track was too narrow.
At Kilsant there with the quarry.
Yes.
Excuse me, shut up. The hooper makes
Beer cask.
the utensils that they used to brew with,
Yes.
It was, I heard them saying, of course, the customer got out when I was a lad or a boy, whatever. Say now, suppose your daughter's working home with you. So what is that now? Well, suppose now she's married. And she marries, say, some son of some farmer. And suppose she goes to Plankessi or something like that. And they used to say that one of the things that she had for her room, was a set of brewing utensils. I hear that this super, he said that he made, dozens, of course it's wrong, but he made a good bit of them. There was a big, what they used to call it? I can't remember. There's a big wooden thing like that.
Pan?
Yes.
A
big barrel like it,
Yes. Yes.
And he made many times. And that, if they could afford it, of course, they do everything. The young girl married that, she goes into a farm. And he's supposed to have some men working with the harvest. They had the brewing utensils. But the customers done out.
We brew our own. But I believe that here in Kumbach you had several brew houses.
Huh?
There were several inns here, weren't there?
Oh, yes.
In the village? All brewing their own?
Huh?
All making their own brew?
Well, partly. James Williamson Narbasar, he was coming along now and again with a cask of beer or so. But I remember the time when they were Howell Panteg, their father, he was brewing, every bit of it. But when time comes along, then the old lady living there, she sent the brewing aside. She married her husband and she had all the beer then from James Williams Narbasar.
And what was the custom of putting the pole outside? Was that earlier in the last century? When the brew was ready, it had to be tested by the...
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I remember that, but I don't remember them coming along.
No. That was the customs and excise man, was it?
It was custom. And making, we used to call it youth.
Yes.
You know what it is?
No.
You know they boil it and turning it out and it comes say hard like.
Yes.
You be that it?
No. That's made with oat.
Yes.
No, I don't know that.
Well, now the old lady was working. You know, not everybody, every household could do it exactly.
Mm.
Now, when that cools, there's some kind of a yellow, say, skin like over the top. Well, now this old lady used to tell him, if you could boil it, not boil it enough, and you could boil it all over. And she said, once she was boiling, and if you happen to see a photo there, it's ready. Well, the custom is, of course, she said they were at, by my time, that was for the dinner and the hay time,
Yes.
and cow for supper, And harvest time, the corn is, You know where they had their supper?
Where?
The Prince.
Where was that?
They used to boil, exactly, how many people were working there. Well, not everybody had an orchard like this, But some of these places, they make a marvelous amount of dumpling, and you could have as much as you like.
Oh, I love dumplings. That would be for the corn harvest.
Aye, the corn harvest.
Yeah.
You've seen them using a sickle?
Yes. Yes. And the sign.
Oh. Well, I haven't seen many. I've seen some. But I've seen any amount of use on the sides, But I saw one or two with a sickle, with a wheat. But not with a oats or a barley. But the winter wheat is enough for making bread. They used to cut it with a sickle.
I didn't realize that they did it for the different grains. The sickle had the curve round and the short handle.
Yes, yes. More bend like that, the ordinary sickle.
Yes. Now what? Any tinkers and gypsies?
Well, some of them were particular. The most they did was, by the time I remember, making clothes pegs.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Putting
wooden pegs, yes.
But there was one gypsy then, we used to call it Samson Bach. He was a small fetcher. He was, a can, and the bottom goes off.
Yes.
He used to put the wooden on it. And on the bottom, and he could seal it, and nail it exactly. It hold water as good as any money. But he was the only man that I saw that,
Yes.
I used to call it Samson Bach, because he was a small man,
But strong.
Yes, but stout of it, He used to go, say, he would pitch his tent, say, on top of it. I will go to the tent, they will invite me to put my caravan or a hut on top of the top. Perhaps he would stay there for a fortnight or so, so long as they get work,
Using one of the old horse-drawn gypsy caravans. Yes. But then, from there, down into the valley again, we had the woolen mills.
Yes.
And then also, would those travelling tinkers, for instance, would you have travelling tailors? Or would the tailor be a resident?
Well, I have seen travelling tailors, but not anything of not conveyance. Some of them used to keep a donkey to carry their machine along.
But mostly clothing was bought in the town.
Yes, but I do remember an old tailor that he never used a machine. He used it all handwork. Tailor Newcut used to call him. Well, he finished his job as a tailor by the time I was a little boy. But the old people used to say that he never used a machine.
Well, when you were young, where would your clothing have come from? Made by your parents?
Huh?
Would your clothing have been made by your mother, or would she have bought it from...
Oh, no, they were taken to the tailor. And taken to the dressmaker. I was the only boy. I got 5 sisters, I buried my only brother, was 3 months old,
Well, then, If you went to the tailor, did we have a tailor within the parish, or did we have to go to town for the tailor?
Oh, well, there was one or two tailors in every parish. There was a tailor living up at Cross House there. There was one over here and by Blanconfluidia. And there was one down by Carcleon there. Laura's you know you're turning to Maidrim at Carcleon.
Yes.
You get down the hill there.
Yes.
You come to a house.
Yes.
There's a road by here going over to Dorgoido.
Yes.
Well, up that dingle, say about 20 or 30 yards, there was a house there, and there was a tailor living there. What was the name of the house? I remember quite well when he was
Up the
there.
close.
Eh?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Back towards Kilsant.
Eh?
Upriver towards Kilsant.
Yeah, yes. You know,
Not
down at the
Contrecoeur.
bottom, before you cross the river to Maidrim way there,
Yes, yes.
there's a
This
house there.
trip.
Yeah, there's a road going over there.
Yes.
That goes to Close and down to Dorgoido. Well, before you, there's a wood there.
Yes.
Before you actually get out of the wood, there was a house on the left-hand side there. There was a tailor living there.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting on, I can't remember.
No, but I can look that one on the map.
No, well,
No, Contrecoeur was further on.
Yes, I know.
And
know
the
that,
other mill
no.
was further there, wasn't there? Halfway between the two mills.
Well, come to court.
Yes.
Well, that deprives from the name, the old people of Gesslewen used to tell me. There's a wooden mill at Gesslewen.
Yes.
Now, the Tukur is a Welsh name.
Yes.
He used to dye. You know what I mean?
Yes,
To
yes.
dye the flannel.
Yes.
And they used to say there had been an old kind of a mill there, you know,
Yes, yes.
to make the clothes like this, you
Yes,
know.
there was.
And that was the way they actually came cum to chorus, you know.
Was it?
Yes.
Because I took it. We had at the Trip Bridge on the way to Maidrim,
Yeah.
there was a cloth mill there.
Yes.
And was it a stocking mill? A knitted mill?
I don't mean actually, what do you mean by that?
Did it have...
Yes, yes. There was there was a corn mill there and a woolen mill.
Yes,
And the lady was making stockings.
yes, that's what I
Yes.
thought. Yes. And then at the one further upriver, at Gethlewen,
Yes.
there was a corn mill
Yes, and a woolen mill.
and a woolen mill.
Yes.
And was that Welsh flannels or blankets?
Oh, yes. Yes, West flannels, of course, and blankets.
And things.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, downriver, at Dolgoidog, was more...
Well, by the time, my uncle used to live at the woolen mill when I was a boy.
Yes.
Well, he left, and the son of Dolgoidog mill came up to Gesslewen, and they were working together, you know.
Mm. Yes.
He his father was living at Dolgoidog. He was working for his father, you know. He hadn't say the business. Well, if somebody come along with a wool, of course, he could buy it on his father, you see. He was at the job, you know.
Mm. His father was
Yes, his
selecting
father was
pieces.
a master like it, you know. Yes.
And were there other mills than those two higher in the parish or not? There was not one at Cumvelin, was there?
No, there's only a corn mill at Cumvelin.
Mm.
There's a good corn mill at Cumvelin, you know.
No,
And a corn mill at Dolgoidog, and a corn mill at Cumbach, and a corn mill at Gesslewen. And up at Carmarthen or at Cremichala. The only basket I used to make here, carrying shoppers, you know,
Yes.
in the farms.
Yes.
The only basket that I make, no basket for market or carrying to the shop.
No, no.
There's nothing of the kind to be added, you know.
that when they would make their baskets, what, from willow withies?
Oh, yes.
That's what it is.
Mm.
Well then, when do you think the main changes?
This way, you know, when the First World War, everything was going, say, at a new pace. you know, things coming and things going. All like this, you know. Everybody say he was a king in his old home, you know. But when the First World War came up, and things will say rises, you know. Well, suppose this now, when I was up at Manchester then, you saw there was a great horse there before the march. There was a great horse there at the mother on the 14th of April. They used to call it John Brown's Fair. It was a big fair. It was out in the streets, you know, and Lama Street. And at the same date, you know, there's a great parade of stallions that we had, you know. Now, what I mean to say is this. The best horse that nearly every farmer could sell, it barely says 40 pounds. Well, I took a horse over I was working for 45. But what not really, say the usually price was 35, 38. Actually, they found one. Well, now, when the war came on, you know, and they take all the horses away, Mr. Phillips, my master, he sold a horse for 140 pounds. And that was in the course of a 2 years' time, you know. That was the actual, the old custom coming along, you know. Well, before that time, you know, there wasn't a single ripper and binder to be had. Only very, very, very few, say, some of these big farms, say 40, 50 acres of that, they had a binder. But you could say, I don't say there's more than 3 in the parish. There was some reapers about, but they were few. Well, of course, there were plenty of labor to be had to cut with the sizes, you know. Well, in that time, you know, haymaking, there was not a single swath turner, you know. Know what I mean? Turning the stores, you know. Well, not every farmer had a side rake. Or a big rake like that. No, they had it, you know. Only the big one. They had a loan from one another. Well, I mean to say that everybody possessed, if he had 2 horses, he had them a mower. Well, I remember the time when they were pitching hay by the pole. You seen that then?
Well, still doing Sweden.
Say, after the First World War, the farmers set about to erect the hay shed. That was the actual time that everything changed. Everything, say, more money, they have the farmer was having more money for his coaches, you know. Well, I remember the time, say, you must have an excellent cow and a calf for 15 pounds. If you turn 16, you know, you'll be lucky. But the time then, you had a dairy cow fetched 40, 50, 60 pounds, you know. And when the Second World War was going to get higher again. Well, before the First World War, you could sell the sheep, you know. I seen my father selling sheep for 2.5 and 138. He couldn't have no deal about it, you know. And in selling lambs for 3 a pound. We make it something like that. Say 18 shillings, you know, and up to a guinea. Well, sometimes you could have a guinea and a 6 pence for a piglet. That it was. Well, as soon as they first of all, they mounted, say, 2.5, 2.50 and 3 pound a piece, you know. That was the actual changes that came over, you know.
And then, when were your first tractors coming in?
Hmm?
When would the tractors come in?
And you said you know, I've seen them, and some of these old families, thrashing with the horses and the rain and all. Well, some of these old, they were very old. They had to put them away. They bought oil engines. The oil engines came on and on.
The old
course, yes,
the old steam.
because some had water wheels, of course, they needed, but at that time, you know. Well, about the middle of the First World War, The farmer had a quota of corn, or some of these farms, and they couldn't plough it with the horses. It was then that the tractor came along. They were agriculture committee at Carmarthen was, if you say, I said, what do you, suppose you had a quota of 60 acres, Well, say you keeping 4 or 5 horses and 2 servants, say your husband and the boys, they couldn't plough that, And putting corn in and everything and putting we had to put, say, about an acre of potatoes and 2 acres, So if we send them to Carmarthen, to the agriculture committee, they would send a tractor out, to plough some certain field for it, But they wouldn't come out to harrow, You could have made them with harrowing myself. After the first, about the middle or more, there was not many corn drills then. I've been sowing corn in my hand.
Broadcasting.
Very, very few machines to sow basic and combined as that. Very, very few. I've been sowing tons and tons of it. Aye. The farm finished with the cask butter. You know what I mean?
I know. That would be...
The shopkeepers, and they buy it in bulk. Kumbah here was a big butter factory, and that Kumbelin, and that Kesuwen.
How much of the land was enclosed and how much was open grazing up to World War One?
I can't tell exactly.
In your childhood, most of the farms would have been the size as they are now.
That has been done before my time. Of course, I've seen many fields that, I don't mean say that I mean neglected. I don't mean that, but they had been closed in, but nothing been done. Say, when the war came on, that they must plough that to prevent ploughing the hay fields,
And what would the changes be during the Second World War?
Well, it became more mechanically like this, It was then, that's the loader came along, lifting the hay,
Yes.
Well, after that then the baler came along. Well, by now the baler is out of fashion, they make silage. No. I've been asking many times. I'm 84, I don't see much change again. What will happen again with the hay?
We're going back. Going back to doing this.